A lot of families are spending a lot more time together. They're in close quarters, and I see a more likelihood for outbursts and kind of personality differences and hurt and pain and angry outbursts. So I'm going to talk about emotional intelligence. I use Gottman and Goldman. Those two guys are where I get a lot of my material. But I wanted to use a geographical metaphor that sticks, so that when we're thinking about this, we can talk about it in a way where people will understand. My kids know this metaphor, and they use it against me. They say, hey, you're being a hot volcano. Be a cool iceberg. So I'm going to use the geographical metaphor of a hot volcano and a cool iceberg. So let's talk about the hot volcano first. The hot volcano is the person who has the angry outburst. Now, I say this hypocritically because sometimes I'm the hot volcano. Yes, I admit it. I think we all can be there. But let's talk about what happens. First of all, you have values. Core values are things that are important to you. They're guiding principles. They can be things such as your work quality, respect, family, what you hold to be true, and what you value. So when you feel those values are being threatened, or that someone is insulting those values, like whether it's your family or the quality of work you do, you will get triggered. And triggered are those things that start the emotional explosion. Okay, now up to this point, getting triggered is not bad. So you become triggered and you feel what's called your primary emotion. So somebody disrespects you, right? Or at least you feel they're disrespecting you by their tone, their body language, what they said. What happens next is that you may feel embarrassed, you may feel disrespected, you may feel hurt, you may feel sad. And these are the first and primary emotions. A lot of people say, when I get disrespected, I become angry. But becoming angry is what happens after the fact. It's actually kind of the third thing that happens after you get triggered. So you get triggered, you feel these emotions, and then what ends up happening is you get a biological reaction. What's a biological reaction? You start clenching your fist, you clench your jaws, you breathe shallowly, your shoulders may go up, your back may start hurting, your blood pressure goes up. There's a whole different way. There are different ways that people react to these emotions. So as you're feeling these emotions, as you're reacting biologically, then the anger comes. You don't notice a lot of this because it's happening 100 miles per hour. When you feel that anger, then you have a choice. Now, let me tell you, when you're angry, that's not a bad thing. Or being triggered is not a bad thing, or having those primary emotions are not bad things. They're just natural things that happen. You cannot stop them unless you're a very cold and calculating person. But for the most of us who are not sociopaths or psychopaths, we have regular emotions. So what ends up happening is then the explosion. These are angry and heated words and actions where you now are hurting other people's feelings. You can be hurting them emotionally, you can be hurting them with words, you can be hurting them even physically. And what happens is, this is a pattern of being a hot-headed person. People are just careful around you, kind of like people living around volcanoes. They're always conscious that what's going to happen, and so people may not know how to react to you. They may be walking on eggshells because yesterday I said something, they got upset. Today I said the same thing, they were okay, they were laughing about it. And this is basically this instability that's caused by these constant eruptions creates a culture that is not good. It's actually toxic. So you become, if you're a hot volcano, a toxic person, kind of like a volcano that's spreading out these fumes. People just don't like to be around you. People don't like to live around you. So my challenge is to not be a hot volcano. So how do you do that? Well, you have to be a cool iceberg. What is a cool iceberg? A cool iceberg is a person that's experiencing the same thing up until anger. So somebody hurts their feelings. They may feel disrespected, sad, hurt, angry, you name it, all the spectrum of emotions. And then what happens is they feel the biological tension, they notice what's happening, but the difference is that they will pause the train. They might even go up to anger, but they become aware. Hey, I'm feeling angry. And the underlying emotions, I can tell because my fists are getting, closed, clenching my jaw. I used to box, so I start doing this when I get angry, and everything starts hurting because I tense everything up. Uh, and then they notice their physical reactions, they notice their emotional reactions, and then they start trying to walk them back. So they either unclench their fist, they become present or more mindful, as some people say. They breathe slowly and deeply. They may remove themselves from the situation. They may not choose to say anything in that moment when they're heated. And as they become self-aware, they start becoming self-managers, or they start regulating themselves. They start working, instead of engaging with the person, they start working on themselves. Now, once they've calmed down, or we've calmed down, the other person might still be triggered. They might still be upset. They might still be spewing toxic words towards us. So what we need to do now that we're self-aware, we're self-regulated, is we look at them and we're like, okay, this person is hurt. This person is angry. What's happening with them? We start to understand them. We start to seek to understand them rather than be understood. The worst thing you can do when you're calm and they're upset is to say, you're not being logical. You're not making any sense. That's stupid. And it might very well be, because what's talking at that moment is that elephant that's running amok. Their emotions are just exploding, okay? So you might want to have them go through the same process. You tell them, what are you feeling? What's going on? Are you sad, angry? No, I'm just angry. Okay, what made you angry? What made me angry is that you did this and this. Well, besides anger, what else do you feel? Well, disappointment, because I already told you. I feel sad because you didn't listen to me. I said, okay, so you start letting the person feel heard and feel felt. They feel felt in that you're understanding them. And as they start walking it back, they start self-regulating because they're talking, you're allowing them to vent, and you're not getting angry. They'll get to a point where you can then start reasoning and being logical with them. Now, some people say this, there's people who are never reasonable, never logical. They're always triggered, they're always upset. I don't know what to tell you then. There are people like that, but you can't. There was a saying my dad would say, es mejor que haya un loco y no dos. That means it's better that there's one crazy person and not two, right? So if you remain cool, calm, and collected, God willing, that person will eventually become cool, calm, and collected. And you might start changing your behavior and say, and the person's used to you being a volcano, but now you're a cool iceberg. They might go, what's going on with this guy? He's acting odd. He's not blowing up the way he usually does. People might not trust you. They might think there's something that you're in it for. Disregard all that. Keep going and practice these skills, because these are not just useful in your home when you're with people, but they're useful in managing your relationships at work. So the ultimate thing that happens with this is you start managing relationships. People will come to you because they know you're cool, calm, collected. You have wise and logical things to say. You just don't talk from your emotions. Emotions are not bad. They're not evil. They're not weak. But what happens is, if it's just emotion and no logic, you might not say the wisest thing. So go home or be home or spend time with your family. Remember, do not be a hot volcano. Be a cool iceberg. And confession is, as I was making this tape, there were things going on that were triggering me. And I wanted to blow up and be a hot volcano. And because I was telling everybody in my house, hey guys, be quiet. I'm recording. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I noticed how much of a hypocrite I was doing this. And I calmed myself down. Calm yourself down. Okay, that's at the end of the day, the advice I give you. Enjoy your family. Be a cool iceberg, and you'll see that you'll enjoy them even more. God bless.